And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for yourself.
We are the last Americans. We are the last Americans. We are the last Americans.
Happy Hump Day! Oh my God, Wednesday, man. Greg, what's
Here
going
we
on?
are again.
We have Randall in the studio, also known as the Whiskey Shaman. We've
That's
had
me.
him in before, man. I am so happy you're back, dude.
Absolutely. This is awesome.
Yeah, we had that was one of my favorite shows that we did in the studio. Was when you came over.
It's
you brought
because
the
we got
whiskey.
drunk as
Yeah, you got us fucked up. You got us all fucked up.
It's good.
And it was delicious. We learned a lot. It
Good.
was nice, man. And we wanted to bring you back before we moved so we could have talks about what we normally talk about.
Right.
And get
Let's
you
do it.
involved.
Let's
Greg,
do
how
it.
you been, man?
I'm doing good, dude. Was Randall on the PMA show, or was he on the last?
I was on PMA.
It was on.
That was on a PMA show.
right before PMA went away.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So it's
All
still up there in the ethers. We still have that up, so you guys
Yeah.
can check that out. He's a great dude. And he lives close to us. Since we're moving, we just said we have got to get him in one more time. We've got to, got to.
Yeah.
So we're happy you're here, man. Thank you for coming. I know it's early for you.
No, it's good.
And he's also, guys, he is a Patreon member. He hangs out with us, man. He's been a part of the show for a long time. So make sure that if you want to be a part of it, you are also signing up to all the different, platforms, making sure you're on Spotify, which we're on finally again, and joining Patreon. We have a lot of content on there. It's a lot of fun. And the Friday shows, the call-in shows, and Zoom parties, man, we always have a great time with those. So go check it out.
And they go way longer than they're supposed to.
Yeah,
I gotta go to
Sometimes
bed,
they
Dan. Daniel, son,
Sometimes.
I gotta go to bed. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Well, but not only that, but Whiskey, you have a podcast yourself, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Do. It's the Whiskey Shaman podcast. It's on every platform you can find. I talk about whiskey and whiskey-related things. I just had Moose Allen from Andalusia Whiskey on.
Oh, nice.
One of my first guests, which was a pain in the ass. But anyway.
Learning curve?
Learning curve for
Absolutely,
sure.
dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, go check that out wherever.
Yeah, if you guys
Okay,
like
so
whiskey.
Moose Knuckle Allen is his name.
Moose
Moose Knuckle Island.
Is that his name? What was his name?
Moose.
Good-
Just
Moose.
Moose. Just Moose.
Well, we can add the knuckle in there. if you
Yeah, I
want
mean,
to. No, go check his stuff out, man. We learned a lot from him, and he really knows, especially like the Texas whiskey that
Yeah,
we got to
absolutely.
experience. There's a lot to learn, and so go check out his show. Is there another thing that they can find you at?
oh, I'm on Instagram, _Whiskey Shaman.
Whiskey Shaman.
Yeah, Whiskey Shaman podcast at Gmail. If you have any requests or anything you want me to do, I got a lot of stuff coming up in the works. So
Nice, dude.
So, yeah.
Keep up to date with it because it's worth it. And we also are friends, so
Yeah.
we'll be sharing some posts of his and stuff for you guys to see as well.
And I might add, great recommendations for whiskey. Okay, so
I
if you
try.
like whiskey, check out the podcast.
Dude, they were good. They were all good.
Yeah.
And we were fucked up.
Yeah.
So he did bring some, but I'm hesitant.
yeah, no.
to try it this early in the morning.
And Greg, I'm going to send you those bottles as well. So
Oh, hell
just
yeah,
wait.
brother.
Just
Nice,
wait.
dude. So as far as today goes, man, there's not that much that was like interesting, like crazy news. I did want to talk to Randall since he's here and kind of figure out what stuff is interesting you in this new time. We had some good conversations before the show, and you even said we have got to stop talking. There's some fun stuff.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
What kind of stuff is interesting you right now?
Well, okay. If any of you see me in the chats and stuff, I'm always talking about, controlled and stuff like that. So I thought, we've talked about RFK Jr. quite a bit.
Yes.
But not really our personal how we feel about him. He was just on Rogan, and that was a huge show, and he had a lot of really good points. But I don't know. I guess I wanted to ask y'all, what are y'all's take on RFK Jr.?
Yes, and interesting, Greg. I know. Did you watch the entire Joe Rogan thing, Greg?
No, I've only watched about an hour or so. But
Yeah, so-
I know that the first hour of that was all about vaccines and the detriment that they can cause and all that stuff, and that basically just the lack of research. Well, I don't want to say lack of research, but they basically have their asses protected at every corner, right?
Yeah.
They can't get sued in case something bad happens and all that stuff. So it's just, he's very knowledgeable in that aspect. But then also, I know I've seen him in other interviews where he discusses the Ukraine-Russia war. He discusses climate change, exploitation. He discusses the Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
My biggest thing about him is when it came to the Second Amendment, he never said like, I would never try to go and take away all your guns. I think he said that like immediately, but then he seemed like getting rid of guns would eventually be a good idea. Maybe I'm putting words in his mouth, but that's the one.
Are you
red
saying
flag
that's
where I
kind of
was like,
it was your gut feeling? Is what you're saying? Is like you kind of felt like he wasn't being all that sincere about the Second Amendment?
well, no, I think that he wants some sort of gun control. I don't think that he wants to take away all the weapons. Maybe I should put it that way.
I'll get you, Chris. And you watched the whole thing, right?
I watched the whole.
What was your, what is your, because to Randall's point, we've talked about him before, and even I've been very defensive over like people like really like gushing over him. Not saying that you guys in particular are, but there are some people that are. What is your honest take on him running for president at this point and like what he may achieve?
Have you seen his body on Twitter, everybody?
Oh yeah, we all have now.
Oh my god, it's
like
like a
the-
Jack
it's-
65-year-old.
I felt like it was like a Putin Russian thing, dude. Like if he was to jump on a horse, I would have been like, bro.
Well, and there's
dolphin,
just
dude.
there's just another video that went out of him like on the deck doing push-ups and shit.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, I mean, listen, to be fair, he's in very good shape for his age. We can acknowledge that. I certainly don't look like that.
No.
And I'm sure that with modern
well,
times,
steroids do wonders, Dave.
well, that's true.
I'm just saying.
I'm sure with modern politics, he's also, there's a little back end here where he's saying like, guys, I'm healthy. I actually take care of my body. I am no Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I understand it to an extent, but it's a little funky where he's like doing photos, like, you know, and how old is he? Like 60?
65, dude.
So he looks great.
Well, I think that
Well,
photo
yeah.
wasn't for like a shoot.
Well,
I think that was just like a photo of him at his house.
True, but you got to understand, if you're running for president, there is no such thing as a photo is just a
So you're just
personal
not
photo.
allowed to have a shirt off at your house?
Well, have you ever seen
Well, he was
Obama
working out in
shirtless?
his jeans, bro.
Have you ever
I mean,
seen
come
Trump
on, that's
shirtless?
my biggest downfall. Is like,
Oh, true that.
Take off the jeans, put on some sweatpants.
Yeah, Greg
bro.
was saying, get naked, bro. What are you
Sweatpants.
doing? Yeah, the gray sweatpants. I want to see the fucking shadows. Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah, can you really run this country, bitch?
Yeah. What are you packing? America's packing hard, man. What is your take,
Jesus.
Chris? What is your take?
I don't know. I mean, he seems all right. I mean, I still like to hear more policy on him because regardless of what he does, it's always still like vaccine conversation. Sure. And I know he said, even on Joe Rogan, he said he doesn't want the whole Joe Rogan episode to be about that because he has different things he wants to talk about. But that was the majority of it.
I think you just have to listen to different interviews, dude. Go listen to Part of the Problem with Dave Smith. He talks about a whole bunch of shit on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just haven't followed him. Like I don't watch Dave Smith's show, even though he's good and stuff. I haven't watched those. And I think that he doesn't want to talk about it, but he's also gaining traction from it. So why would he not want to talk about it?
I definitely agree with him that he definitely agrees that there is a lot of corruption and censorship that's happening within private companies and government agencies, which is leaps beyond what any other Democrat is even acknowledging.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's going to do him well.
I just don't trust. I don't know what it is, man. Like, because I know last time I got really like upset with it because like I'm seeing a lot of people talking about it and they're trying to like bolster him. And he's, in my opinion, like he's still a Democrat. You know what I'm saying? Like he's still like, and maybe he doesn't want to talk about some of these policies right now because he's gaining so much traction with the Republican side of things, which he is, that why would he want to cut that off by immediately saying, hey, I'm actually not, opposed to an open border style system. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like if you really talk to him, even how you said it, Greg, with his Second Amendment stuff, like I would be very curious on like where he really actually stands because that would shift momentum for him. And I don't know if he wants to, even though he says like, I want to talk about other stuff.
I mean, he's very vocal on Twitter too. So all you need to do is really just go to his Twitter account and then just scroll through and read what he says about different things. I mean, he's talking about Bitcoin here. He's going to hold Bitcoin inviolable or whatever the hell.
But do you care about that?
He goes off. I mean, I think Bitcoin is, I don't like digital currency. I think you can get away with tracking and surveillance that goes against the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and stuff. So it's just like,
I just feel like
with that, yeah, I do care.
Something like he's used. There's something like about him that feels like he's put there for a reason. Not trying to discredit him, but like he is definitely a disruptor, right? He's a disruptor for the Democratic Party because, and they've talked about this multiple times, he would steal a ton of votes from Joe Biden if he ran as a third party member.
Yes.
Well,
he's
here's
also a
my
disruptor
deal,
to
If he
though,
ran
dude.
as a Democrat, he's stealing Like
I'm saying if
he's
he
already
didn't,
way
if he
ahead of
doesn't get the nomination, he could run a third party and take a lot more from the Democrats than the Republicans.
I don't know why he's not taking more of the conspiracy theorists on his side. You know what I mean?
I think he is.
Because now you have a bunch of these shows, I don't want to name them, but like these conspiracy shows that are actually talking about RFK Jr. waking people up, quote unquote, right? And not just Democrats.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just Democrats. It's like Republicans as well. And you know what I mean? He has the Kennedy name. His father was killed. The uncle was killed, right? Famously by the CIA. And it's just like, he has that revenge aspect to him as well. Same with Trump. You know what I mean? Like that vengeance bite is still there with the Kennedy.
Yeah.
Randall,
what's your take,
I think he has that going for him too.
Well, I mean, to piggyback off of that, yeah, it's but he also has the Kennedy name, which means possibly controlled because, you know, I don't know I mean, this is just my opinion, but I feel like maybe, you know, it's, you know, like he was placed there to do this certain thing to get people to not vote for Biden and to get people to look at the Democratic side as a place for where Republicans can be, you know, maybe they're not that bad. You know, type thing. He's a very conservative liberal. So that's
center of the road kind of guy. Yeah. See, and
he's how Democrats used to be.
Exactly.
He's how they were.
So it's like, let's make Democrats normal again.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's the problem. I don't have any issue with that. Like, I don't have an issue with him being a center, like moderate liberal, right? Or whatever you want to call him. I don't mind that. I think it's actually good for the party to get back to reality a little bit because I feel like they've swayed so far off of reality. However, I still look at him as he is still a Democrat. And listen, I'm not saying that I wouldn't vote for a Democrat if they had all the right things, but like, of course I am more right leaning. Like for all the morals of this country and just looking, I feel like there is a hard line in the sand. Like I would rather have, you know, some morality back in this country and people like getting back into maybe not necessarily religion, you know, but I'm just saying like having like family values again. Like I feel like we've lost all that shit. I'm not saying he doesn't believe that, but I'm with you. Like there's a part of me that thinks like the Kennedy name is, I mean, I know JFK was well liked, but it's still the Kennedys, bro. They're still like this dynasty politician group. And it worries me.
Well, let me ask you here, too hot to handle, Randall.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
If the Kennedys are controlled opposition, why were they murdered?
Because they, that makes a lot of sense. That does make a lot of sense.
And if he's part of like the quote deep state, why did they kill the family? You know, and go after the family?
Well, just being controlled doesn't mean you're a deep state. What if you're controlled from the other side?
That's true.
Well, and Greg, let's be real, man. Every TV show, like I know it's Hollywood, but I'm saying they kill their own first. You know what I'm saying? Like if you step out of bounds at all, they'll kill you. I mean, you look at any mob show, like they're killing everybody. Yeah. Like they just because they're controlled and they step out of line for a minute, they'll take you out. And also to your same point, if his family was all taken out by the CIA, do you think that makes him want to speak out against it even more? Or do you have to believe that he's controlled because he knows that there's an outcome? I mean, no one really wants to be shot, bro.
No.
So, like, how much is he willing to actually do knowing that his family is, you know, quote unquote, the unluckiest family alive?
Well, it just depends on that revenge aspect.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe this is the time where he can actually say something and not get killed.
Well, and he's worried
like,
about that too, because he said that on the Joe Rogan episode. Because right at the very end, Rogan asked him, "Are you worried about being killed?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "It's something he has to live with. He's lives accordingly to that, and it's not the way he wants to live." But he says he definitely has watching his back all the time.
What do you think about it would make him like now's the time? Because even his uncle was the president, and
what do I think? COVID, bro. Hello.
No.
What do you mean?
Like
COVID?
people are waking the fuck up. What do I mean? Like the jib jab, the effectiveness of that, the massive corporate push for everybody to get it inside of their body.
That's great.
Like, and then just like everybody going like, this isn't right.
Sure, but
this is something.
How does that stop
right?
him from not being taken out right now? If that was the case, how does
it doesn't. But I'm just saying, like a lot of people are going like, whoa, yeah, something's not right here. You have proof coming out that the CIA killed his uncle, right? So, I mean, there's a lot of things that are adding up saying like, oh, yeah, something in this country is not right. There's a faction of our government, if not the whole thing, that is being disrupted by this outside source.
Yeah.
Right? They're being run like a mob. You have corporations running our government. Right? So I feel like with Donald Trump as well, Donald Trump and this whole like conspiracy movement around him, I feel like a lot of people are digging more. And it wasn't just like something like if he were to come out back after Bill Clinton was president and say all these things, people would be like, dude, he's kind of nuts, you know? Like, I think that like his family getting taken out kind of messed with his head. You know what I mean? Because they kind of did look at RFK Jr. this whole time as like this anti-vaccine nut. That's how he's been described his whole career, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Up
like
until...
earthy kind of dude. Like, right? Like, he's all about like conservation and stuff, which is fine, you know?
Yeah, and he said things in the past about climate change, like he's been quoted saying, like, if you disagree or all anti-climate changer people should be arrested, right? And so I think he's had to discuss about that. Be like, what are you talking about, bro? Like, you said these things. What did you mean by that?
That's concerning.
And how has he changed, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I look at him like, listen, this could be like the quote unquote black pilled part of me, I guess you could say, is his uncle was killed 50 years ago. You know what I'm saying? And to you saying the conspiracy kind of, I mean, I think it was around before that, but that was when it was prevalent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's not new. There's questions about it from the very beginning, and it only got more intense over the years. Granted, I would say maybe more people are interested, but if that was the case, this new drop with the CIA and everything about it would have been big news, and it just wasn't. It went through the news cycle like nothing. And so you tell me, like, you really think people are that awake or they care? Because we have real strong evidence in this era where we're supposedly learning a lot and everybody's waking up, and yet it just went through the news one week and it was out the news the next week, and it's nothing's coming of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I mean, I don't really agree that, like, it wasn't that big of a... I think a lot of people thought there was something fishy going on, especially he had come out with speeches right before saying that he wanted to get rid of the three-letter agencies. Like, people saw the writing on the wall, and they questioned it the entire time. So why do you think it's really that different now? I think that there's just as many people that believe it now as there was then.
Yeah, so just so I get this quote right, I found this 2014 Reason article. Activist Robert Kennedy Jr. denies he wants to jail climate change deniers, actually wants to execute climate villain corporations and think tanks. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of kind of like misinformation on like what he actually said, what's going on here. Because I mean, the quote is like, I want to jail all climate deniers, right?
Are you, Randall, are you feeling this guy at all? I mean,
okay, he, like I said, he has good points. He has, you know, the whole fact that he himself has vaccine issues is a thing. But I feel like that's his, you know, Trojan horse coming up there. And the fact that his wife is like one of the biggest Democratic supporter, like not good Democratic supporters there is, you know, it's, I don't know. I have my concerns with it. Obviously, but you know, we'll see what happens. We'll see if he practices what he preaches.
I guess. Yeah. And I want to be clear with my stance. It's like we need more people like him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though like I don't agree with him, like the fact that what I do think his positive is even if he doesn't become president, what his positive is to me is that he's willing to talk to anybody and willing to work with anybody. And we need to get to that back to a point where we can have a mutual respect and say, hey, man, good for you for saying all that stuff. I back you up 100%. I don't agree with you know, maybe your border policy. I don't agree with maybe your social policy, but you're a good guy. I trust you. We can work together. We can come up with great policy together. We need more of that. So, like, I don't know that I want him as a president, but I want more people like him as far as, like, willing to talk out. Because how many leftists are really willing to talk?
Debate, bro.
That's what I'm saying. He's willing to go on Rogan and have an open discussion. And even Bernie did, you know, which give him some credit. He went on a major platform and was, to be fair, Joe Rogan was pretty easy on that fucking guy. And I'm sure he was pretty easy on RFK too. But I don't, at least he's talking. You know what I'm saying? He's not hiding in a bunker like AOC or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I respect it. I just don't know if he's presidential material for me.
Right.
That's where I'm at right now at this moment. So, and it's interesting. I know you're like kind of looking into more and stuff, but
No, I mean, I definitely have those concerns, the Trojan horse concerns that Randall's speaking about, like for sure. I mean, how easy would it be to just say, look, there's polls out there that show that a lot of Americans are questioning vaccines. They're questioning the Ukraine war. They're questioning all of these things, right? And you have to look at, okay, how can we kind of control that questioning a little bit and massage it in a way that makes sense? It'll make people feel good. It'll answer their questions, but it'll still kind of control everybody in a level where we can kind of maintain this conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is kind of what RFK Jr. feels to me. It's like we're saying all the right things, but once we get in office, we're going to maybe not do all of the right things.
Yeah.
You know, because Obama was the exact same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like we have two sides of the coin right now, and I feel like that's where it's going to be problematic because on one side, you know, you have this thing that people that are actually looking at stuff are looking at. They're looking at the war, they're looking at like the political corruption, all these things, right? There's that side of the coin, but then there's the other side of the coin, which is the average person who doesn't maybe look at everything the same way. The person who sees the gas prices are still ridiculous, that the interest rates are out of the roof, that their jobs are in jeopardy, that their families don't have enough food. They don't care. Like, I'm not saying they don't care about the war, for example, but their focus is definitely not on the Ukrainian war. Right. It's not on the money being sent. It's not on, corruption necessarily. They're trying to survive. And so, like, with RFK, the one thing that is, he should be doing a better job of, to his point, is like, I don't really want to speak about this the whole time. Well, then don't. Like you can control the room, and that's what's going to make you a good leader. Is tell Rogan, hey man, listen, I've talked about that on a lot of shows, and we can have we can go over about 10 minutes, but I want to get to my policy because this is the stuff that's for me running is going to be very important for the American people to hear. Right. And you're not doing that. You are still allowing the conversation to go for whatever reason that is. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of people who are just like, hey man, I'm struggling with money right now, and I'm struggling with the basic necessities, and I don't really give a shit about war.
Right.
You know, even though they're sending money, and I'm sure they realize that.
Yeah.
But I think they're more concerned with, like, getting the economy back on track. I think if you looked at a poll, that would probably be high up there as the economy getting back on track.
Oh, absolutely, dude.
Oh, yeah.
And he does discuss all those things on his Twitter account. I don't really pay attention, and I don't think any of us here really go and read everything that he writes. No. You know what I mean?
But that's not
he writes a lot.
How many times did Trump go on to CNN, MSNBC, Fox, all these places? He would go on everything, and he did a good job of like getting himself interjected. And he was on. Listen, RFK was on Joe Rogan, the largest viewed platform there is out there. Your best opportunity, and you're saying, well, you can go check it out on Twitter. I wanted to hear you say it there. I wanted to hear you stop him and really get into you had 3 hours.
Yeah.
Maybe you did, dude. I don't know.
Chris,
I didn't listen to the last two.
I mean,
no, it was majority of vaccines.
There we go. So I'm just saying, like, you need to also kind of dictate your own path. Trump would never let them speak on just one thing. You know that he would stop them and be like, I'm going to talk about, and he would just go at it. Like, we need to see that. Yeah. People need to hear it. They're not going to go look on Twitter for everything. So that's where I'm at with it.
Yep.
We'll see. I mean, I'm very interested to see how any kind of debates go here later on.
If they're allowed.
If they're allowed.
Well, what do you mean?
That's the challenge right now.
Well, just because Biden said he's not going to debate doesn't mean nobody else can.
Oh, okay. So, I mean
that's true. But who are you excited to see RFK debate in the Democratic side?
Anybody.
Maybe like a Newsom?
Yeah, maybe.
Because like as soon as a debate starts happening, then you, especially on in that platform, then you have to talk about other things other than the vaccines.
Well, I want to see him debate Trump, dude.
I do too.
Screw this whole like Democrat. Like, I don't give a shit if he like debates Newsom or Biden. Like, I want him to debate Trump.
I don't think
so that way.
I don't think he's going to, though. I mean, I don't. Tell me if I'm wrong.
Not unless he is the nominee, then he won't.
Why would Trump do that? Because why would you set yourself up to possibly be outdone when you don't have to be? That would be a terrible political move, unless he was the overwhelming, like he had the percentage to win a third party, even if he doesn't get the nomination. Trump would be a fool. Not saying he shouldn't, but he would be a fool too.
Trump did say that he could shoot somebody in the street and people would still vote for him. So why not debate somebody?
Yeah, that was
that
Trump.
You know what you're talking about.
That was Trump in the midst of an amazing amount of people that were supporting him. I will tell you, and I still believe this to be true, that I don't know that his support is as strong as it was in 2016. And with everything going on, even though we can say that it's not real, that like maybe it's exaggerated, that he's not like, all this stuff is, but you have to still see that there's some effect to it, some. Mm-hmm. So I don't know,
man. All the polls suggest otherwise. Like he's way ahead of everybody in all of the polls. Like DeSantis isn't even coming close.
Yeah, listen, I'm not gonna buy into that shit. All the polls said that Hillary is gonna be 95-5, dude. I'm just saying, like, they'll prop who they want you to for whatever reason.
Well, then what are you basing that opinion on? That he does less
I'm basing it off of people that I talk to on a daily basis. My family, my friends, people in the studio, like people on our chats. What do you mean it's a bubble? I don't like the people that I'm talking. My wife's family that I when we bring it up, that's not a bubble. I don't talk to them on a daily basis.
I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of like your close family and friends, dude. I consider that a bubble. And like the thing is that I agree that Trump probably lost a significant chunk when the whole the plan didn't go down. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like there are some people, and maybe that's another excuse for RFK Jr. to come in, because he knows that there might be that questionable group that might be like, hey, look, Trump said that he was going to take down, quote, quote, the deep state. He was going to arrest Hillary Clinton. He never did. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how could you let these people do this to you and you didn't even handle it back then? So what makes me think that you're going to handle it once you get back in?
What do you think, Ray?
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I get it. That's like he had Congress kind of backstabbing him. He had a bunch of people backstabbing him, like close staffers and stuff. So it's like, he wasn't set up and he wasn't fortified the way that he should be for somebody to take down the quote unquote deep state. So it's like, if you have like the new MAGA Republicans entering the House, that's a good start, but is it enough? You know what I mean? And that's the concern is your power enough to stop this cog?
I just think it was humble pie that he just ate, to be honest with you, because he does the same shit right now, which is, I think, problematic to some extent. When he comes out and says, I can end the Ukraine-Russian war in 24 hours, you didn't learn. What you didn't learn is that you yourself cannot do this on your own, and that the Congress and all this these other pieces of the moving machine have to be on board with you.
No, they don't. He can't sit down and have a meeting with Zelensky and Putin himself and negotiate a deal?
Sure. But even Zelensky said that he doesn't think it's possible to do. Zelensky.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, dude, listen, it's good to be confident, Chris. But
I'm not saying confident. You're just saying that he has to have the House and Senate to be able to do that.
No, I'm saying I was using them as a brief example. I'm saying that he himself is not going to accomplish all this himself. And he needs to understand that, like, there's other moving pieces. And he still doesn't.
Well, and he's known for making bombastic statements.
Exactly.
I mean, he did say that he was going to build the wall and have Mexico pay for the entire thing.
Sure.
I mean, there might have been a chunk that Mexico chipped in with, but I mean, as far as I could tell, like, we paid for the wall, like the taxpayer money. Like, it wasn't just Mexico paying for the thing.
Sure.
That's just one example of like how he said that I'm going to do this and I'm going to make this happen. It's like, okay, well, so you're going to stop the war in 24 hours. How? Like, how are you going to make that happen? Like, explain that so you don't look like you're kind of being hyperbolic like you always are.
I get you. And I feel the same way. Like, to your point, like, it takes it takes mega Republicans being in office for him to help him achieve the things that he wants to achieve, which is all in turn saying that, like, it's not just Trump. It never is just the president. Like, Biden's not single-handedly fucking this country. It's the entire administration.
No.
Yeah.
So, like, Trump can't...
DOJ involved,
He can do some things. He can have some aspects where he can sign things in and so forth and so forth. But then it also lends to battles where they're going to go against it and try... there's all these things. It's not just him. That he needs to understand that he can't be the savior, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not the one and only savior. That it takes him working with other people to also get this shit done. So, but... I want to see, like, Randall, like, who is your, you don't have to say who you're voting for, but who is the person that you're leaning towards right now? Like, is it Trump?
It's not.
Okay.
And it's not RFK either.
Oh, boy. Who is it then? Newsom, dude.
No, yes, yeah.
Anthony Weiner.
Dang it.
Anthony Weiner.
Shit.
No, right now, I don't see a candidate.
Okay.
Personally, what I see is 3 truths and a lie, or 3 lies and a truth, or whatever. That's what I see. They're talking a big talk like they always do.
Yes.
They always talk this huge talk. I'm going to drain the swamp and we're going to do this. And well, that was Alex Jones. It wasn't. Sorry.
I tell you, we're going to turn the frogs gay.
But
I got a message for the fat cats in Washington.
yeah. I mean, so I don't know. It's really hard. It's really hard for me because I want there to be a standout, and there never really is a standout. I mean, when Trump's first term, everybody was gung-ho about it because he's not a politician. He's not this. And that's true. He wasn't. And he came through and he wrecked shop, and he
A lot of positives.
he did a lot of good things, but he also did a lot of really sketchy things.
Sure.
And so, like, I don't know if I want to back that, but then again,
Well,
like,
so let me stop you there.
go
What
ahead.
was one of the sketchy things that Trump did?
I knew you were going to put me on the spot.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like
Right.
when you guys say like, hey, like RFK Jr., Dave, same example. Like, what's one thing that you don't like about him? He says
His border
stuff
policy.
about climate change, the
Border
border
policy.
wall,
Yeah.
border policy.
He hasn't said much about his policy. So what I know of is border policy. Yeah.
Okay.
And with Trump, it would probably be the whole. Oh Lord! Of course, I was going to forget it. You know.
Is it the push?
Yeah, I mean that was part of it, but like the whole Israel thing.
Yeah.
You know, it got way out of hand, and he was pushing policy that he wasn't able to commit to. So I don't know.
Are you
Okay.
saying like are you for the like Israel policy, or are you against the Israel policy?
I'm kind of against it.
Okay. And see, like, that's one thing, to be fair, like, that was something that I didn't really have a whole kind of a feel for, because I just didn't look at, like, he was promoting that very heavily.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people that were really against that, like the pro-Israel stuff, like that extreme take on it. But I just don't know enough about it.
Yeah, I know
Well,
I know very little about it, but
Yeah.
it's still.
Well, and then going back to RFK Jr. and the border policy, did you know that he actually went down to the border
Sure.
in Yuma, Arizona?
Yeah.
He recorded it. He's like, this is a humanitarian crisis because of the understanding across the globe that we now have an open border here.
Yeah.
There are people being drawn here. They're being abused. There's all kind of just horrific, terrible stories. And this is not a good thing for our country. This is not a good thing for these people. It is unsustainable. So how is this?
Dude, he's also, from my understanding, he's had quotes in the past basically saying, like, you can't be for immigration and be closed border. And so I understand that what he's saying to an extent, like, he's probably saying, like, shutting everything down completely is not American. But at the same time, I'm for shutting it down completely temporarily as we figure out what's going on here.
Right.
Like, I listen, at the end of the day, like, show me a Democrat who's for a more secure border. Like, show me one. Because I would argue that most are not. They would rather have it more open and have a smoother, faster, quicker process, and even allow some gaps than they are about a really controlled border. So listen, as all politicians, you're looking that up right now, but of course he's going to say that. Like, if I'm not mistaken, like Biden, Obama all said they were against gay rights, right? So, and then they all flipped, and now they're all like holding fucking, like, don't tell me that politicians don't change their stance when need.
For sure, dude. Yeah. I mean, the assumption that he's going to flip, that's just an assumption. I mean, I agree with you. It's a likely assumption, but we can't guarantee that that's going to, like, he's lying.
There's been,
We
I know,
can't
but
guarantee that.
again, he hasn't done a good job of getting his policy out there. And I think that he's still fairly new. And there's going to be a point where he said things in the past. And you said it yourself about the whole, like, taking out the the whatever, the bottom line is he can always come back and be like, no, I didn't mean that. I didn't say it like that. Like, that's all the shit. Like, you did say stuff, and you're going to have to defend that stuff. And I've seen many quotes that were saying that he was much more of an open border guy than a closed border guy. And so that's just one example. To be fair, I haven't dived that much.
Well, he will be having a live town hall tonight. It looks like a News Nation will host a live town hall Wednesday, June 28th from 9 to 10:30 p.m. Eastern time. So maybe tune into that and see what he says about the border, see what he says about a bunch of things, because I'm sure they're going to ask him about a variety of things, not just vaccines.
Right.
We'll see. We'll see. But I think they'll ask him what they want him to ask him. I don't think the media, these town halls are like pro RFK. Okay, so that hurts him.
No.
Yeah.
But they're also going to, what do you think? They do the same thing with Trump. They're going to want him to discuss.
They're going to try to trap him in something
Yes.
and then see how he reacts.
They want him to discuss the stuff they know is going to hurt him the most. And that may be the conspiratorial side of things, if you even want to call it that. But that may be what they go for. So will you hear all of his policy? That's a question to be had.
This is saying Kennedy's economic platform includes a broadened social safety net. I don't know what that fucking means. And a crackdown on what he calls, quote, misguided free trade schemes. He's calling for the shrinking of the military and reducing military spending.
That's
All
not
right.
happening.
So this says, while his more hawkish stance on the border may attract some moderates, or more moderates than aggressives or progressives, his anti-war foreign policy is likely to draw more liberal voters to his side. So, I mean, the shrinking of the military and the reducing of the military spending, that has to do with the foreign policy stuff. Like, why are we out there controlling the world? Let's protect our own borders. And this is saying that his stance against the border is hawkish. Which is like, I mean, that's
I agree that we shouldn't be involved in a bunch of wars, but I don't agree the military needs to be smaller.
You think the military needs to be smaller?
Well,
or bigger?
It's not ever going to be smaller because the military or the United States military is the military branch of the world.
That's the point.
And
that's what he's calling out.
You said that. I saw him go.
Yes, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be, but that's how they want it.
What are you saying, Chris? Like, because you're saying that you don't want to see a decrease necessarily.
No. Like, if you can stay out of the wars, but that doesn't mean you can't protect your own homeland.
Right.
So why would you shrink the military? That sounds like to me, let's get out of the wars and then we don't need everything because we're not going to be everywhere. But why wouldn't you just keep it anyway and keep the budget anyway? That way you're protecting yourself if something ever was to happen. And you're ready for it.
Yeah. See,
I think when it comes to reducing the spending, you got to think about the logistics about shipping everything across the world. You talk about like the equipment that is all going. I mean, how much money did we lose over in Afghanistan from that pullout?
a lot.
Billions.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, like that type of shit, we can reduce that. Completely.
Yeah, but see, we be careful because I don't know that that's what he's meaning. You know what I'm saying? Like that might be what you're thinking.
For sure.
But like he may be saying we need
cutting the budget altogether.
Cutting budgets across the board.
And,
now
But I mean, to be fair though, we don't know what this article means by shrinking the military. This is the article.
I know,
saying
but
this.
what I'm saying is you like giving your 2 cents, which is awesome, right? And I think that would be if you're going to shrink the budget for doing stuff like shipping costs and leaving shit staying where we just lose billions for no reason. Yes, that makes perfect sense, and I'm with you 1,000%. But I'm with Chris as far as I like the fact that we are trying to maintain dominance, if you will, because China's not going to stop. China's not going to stop creating shit and trying to get one up us on technology, on their missile capabilities, on their equipment. We have to be ahead of the game all the time. So I'm cool with like us creating new shit, learning new shit, building new shit, having better ships. I'm all about it. But we just don't need to be shipping that stuff over a country for no reason to other countries.
Yeah, maybe he's talking about sending it all to the border, dude. Because he did say, this is a quote, "I will make the border impervious if he's elected as president." So maybe he's, even Trump's talked about that. Let's send the military to the border.
If he did, that's cool, man. If he says that, great. But I don't feel like that was his stance the majority of his career. So if that's his new stance, like, and I could be wrong. I'm just saying from what I've read and what I've heard, I don't feel like that was his stance for a long time. So if that's his new stance.
Well, people change. We admit that, right? Donald Trump was a Democrat.
Sure. Yep. My question is, are you changing for politics reasons, or are you changing because you actually believe it? And that's the hard part.
Exactly. That's the whole reason why we're talking about this, because do we trust the guy or not?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a lawyer, isn't he?
Yeah, his whole career has been like litigation against pharmaceutical companies.
Do you trust lawyers? That's like a politician is a lawyer.
Okay, and so what it comes down to for me, and even with Trump, and maybe to Randall's point here, like not knowing. Like for me, it's a lot of gut feeling, dude. Do I feel good about him, or do I not feel good about him? And I be honest, I don't feel great about RFK, and I could be proven completely wrong. And he may be like awesome. I have no idea, but I'm just saying like there's something. I don't know what. I can't put my finger on it, but there's something about him and something about the whole thing that I think there's a lot of great things about him, but presidentially, I don't know I don't feel good about it. So I don't know why. You know, I also feel like there's a lot of Republicans that are like kind of fancying him right now. And I feel like that might be part of the plan. You know what I'm saying? To take away some support. They're also kind of disrupting, like this could be a disruption of the election without actually having to use machines and shit, bro. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's a very weird situation. And I'm not opposed to having people run if they want to run, but I'm just saying, look at it for reality. And the reality is he could be one of the greatest disruptors of all time, literally, because he's liked. He is liked.
Yeah.
So he runs as a third candidate. This is not some random name that you've never heard running as a third candidate. It's going to take 1%.
Yes.
This is a guy who could potentially take 20, 30, 40% from both candidates.
Absolutely.
Which is part of the, it's part of the thing.
Yep.
But I'm just saying, like, who's putting in there? Why is it why? You know what I'm saying? Like, was it from an inside job? You know, is it somebody like the government putting this out? Is he willing to say whatever to get into a position? Yeah. That's where I have concerns.
Yeah. Well, and then can't you go to like Real Clear Politics and look at where his spending comes from? Or it's not Real Clear Politics, but it's like open secrets, where you can see who is funding these politicians, right? And it's well documented. It's actually a legit website. It's not just like some bullshit conspiracy thing.
But do you think that's all the funding? Like, what about the black market funding? Like the black funding,
yeah.
Like
I hear you, dude.
So I'm watching Daredevil. I told you guys, we just finished season 2. I rewatched the entire thing because I watched all the way to season 3. My wife, she wanted to see it, so we started over, and now we're back on season 3. And I know it's a TV show, but after watching it, it just makes me like cringe at how many people can be bought and sold. Granted, it's a movie.
Yes.
But like when you see the prisons that are like, they were saying like 50% of the prisons actually run by Kingpin right now, and the backdoor deals and the fucking shenanigans, it just makes you go like, God damn it. Like, who is good? Like, who the hell is really good?
I mean, that BlackRock guy, right? That the recruiter, he was just caught on camera saying like, dude, we buy everybody. $500K. I could fucking buy you right now.
That's the same feeling when that show House of Cards came out.
Yeah.
I never watched that.
It was the same thing, except that was more the inner workings of how crooked actual politics is.
Have you seen any of that? Have you seen?
I've seen a little bit of Daredevil, but not.
It gets real wild, bro. And it just makes me sketched out because people will say, I mean, Kingpin in that movie, people were literally saying he's the savior of the city. He wants to help the city. He's trying to help it grow. Meanwhile, he's literally destroying the poverty, like the people that are in these like poverty stricken areas. He's like literally willing to kill them all in order to like build up the new. And he says, like, in order for this to be great, we have to fucking start from scratch, and we need to fucking take them all out.
Yeah.
And so, like,
that's just
agendas.
like Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I don't want to give anything away, but I mean that idea is the bad guys in all of these movies. You know what I mean? Like the bad guys want to destroy whatever is not perfect, and they want to rebuild in attempts to make things perfect, but they will never succeed. You know,
as
like
in
the utopia,
as in the devil in the Bible did the same. Tried to do the same thing. Just saying.
The devil.
So explain that story. Explain that story.
Well, you know, like in and I'm no
theological.
Yeah.
What's
anyway,
the word?
Theologist.
I'm not a biblical person, but in the Bible it says that the devil owns the earth, and he made it in, you know, like the Tower of Babel and all that stuff, and then God came and destroyed it all. So the whole thing with evil in itself is they come to a place and they change it to what they want, which is better, supposedly, and then in the end it never works out because it's not the plan it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, because in that scenario, then God would destroy the planet, right?
Right.
And so these evildoers in these movies are pretending to be God. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was a quote from Guardian of the Galaxy that this guy was like, God didn't work. That's why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was going to be God, create this perfect planet, and it never works. So it's like, that is the whole socialist utopia idea, is like, you can't make a fucking perfect place.
No,
it just doesn't happen.
It's gonna be
no, and if you have freedom, there's going to be a lot of like sadness to that as well. Like people will die, people like uncontrollable scenarios will happen, but it's a risk of all of it, right? But like my thing, it's like I feel like these shows initially were pushing on more of like a Trump aspect of like, you know, like Kingpin, you could argue is like a Trump figure, right? Like that he's coming across like the savior, like he's there for the people. Meanwhile, he's destroying it all from within. But then like, I don't buy into that per se, but I just look at it as more like politicians in general will come out and say all the right things. And then behind closed doors will throw you in the meat grinder. You know what I'm saying? With no quorums about it at all. Yeah. And so it's a whole, like to your point, I don't know if I'm quite there as like, there's no potential candidates, But that's a reality that there's a lot of people that are looking at this stuff, and that's kind of what we've been back and forth with. Listen, Trump has support. Biden does have some support, which is bizarre, but he does. Gavin Newsom has support. At the end of the day, though, it's like, how many people are really just falling off completely and just going like, I don't know where to fucking go at this point. Like, none of it seems viable. But you have to pick somebody, like you have to, I mean, you don't have to.
And that's the thing. Like, if we just say, well, I'm just not going to vote, I'm just not going to put my 2 cents in, then they win.
Exactly.
They win. So we have to weed through everybody and be like, even though he might have this issue and that issue, he is the best for my personal values.
Sure.
And whatever that is, be it a DeSantis, be it a Trump, be it a whoever, be it Kamala Harris, whatever.
Oh God.
Oh yeah.
Show me that fucking person, dude.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, that's the thing. You just have to use your gut, like you were saying, use your gut. And if more people did that, I feel like, and they didn't just blindly follow whoever, use your gut and your intuition will tell you, yeah, this person might be legit. This might be a little off, but like you said, nobody is 100% perfect.
No.
Nobody's going to be perfect. And they're going to tell you all these great things to get into office. We've seen it since the beginning of time. So it's, it's
you're
one
taking
of those
a
things.
chance. It's a dice
you're
roll
taking a
every
chance,
time.
but not to say there wasn't good presidents. There was. It's just you have to find the one that's right for you and your family.
And a lot of people.
That's the hard ask, right? Is that everyone has to pay attention because you have to not only listen to what they say, but see how they say it.
Oh, yeah, agree. 1,000%, man.
Yeah.
What's your take on DeSantis? Like, he's obviously in the frame now, and I to Greg's point, which is probably true, right? Trump is holding a pretty significant lead over DeSantis at this point.
Yeah.
But like, what's your take?
This whole him going against Disney is like poking a bear, and I'm a little concerned that they were just like, oh, here's some money, shut up. And so,
you think Disney's going to take out DeSantis?
I didn't say that. But at the same time, like he's pushing a lot of buttons in that realm and in others, and he's even starting to say some things about Trump as well. So it's like, I don't know. Like, I feel like he's a little greasy, but at the same time, he's he is. I mean, Florida never locked down, stuff like that. So there is things.
Well, I think they did lock down.
Oh, they did.
They
did. Very briefly.
Very
briefly.
We all did when we were all scared, but
I think South Dakota was the only state that did not lock down.
Yeah, because there's 3 people there.
Yeah, true. Yeah, dude.
Welcome. No one. You just go to the corners of the state and you'll be fine.
I like what you're saying, and that's how I feel about him. Because Greg, you both you have that. Like, he comes across a little slimy.
Yeah.
Like a little sea creature-y. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, that is my gut instinct about DeSantis is I can't trust anything that he says because it's too slick, like a politician. Like, he just sounds like a politician. He's not speaking as a true human being.
So I agree with you, but the same reason I could argue for Trump against somebody who does not like Trump, you would say, like, hey, listen, you may not like the guy, but he was president. All right, he was in a position of power, and the majority of what he did was pretty solid. There was, to your point, there was some stuff that was definitely questionable, but we know what he could do, right? He could get our economy back in line. He didn't start a war, so that was a positive thing, technically, right? And so there was some stuff with the vaccine push and stuff that were questionable. DeSantis is running Florida, and I think you would be hard pressed to find a lot of Floridians who actually dislike him.
Right.
And so that should be telling because, of course, he's not president. So in the position that he's been in, people do like him there. They don't want him to run because they want him to stay. And that should be something. So he may see slimy, but he also is doing things that are positive. Yeah. And that's where I'm at with it. I don't know that he beats Trump, but I also don't completely distrust him, but he's very there's something to him that seems like he practices a lot. And maybe he's that kind of a person, right? Like, Trump is a talker. He's good around people. And then DeSantis may not be that good. And he actually needs to work on that stuff. And that's why he comes across the way he does. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I like talking. I'm very social. Like, Chris, you don't talk as much as I do.
No.
And so if you were to run for a position, right, they would tell you, like, hey, man, we need to speak more. We need to work on your, shaking hands and getting to know people. And you'd be like, yeah, that's what I have to do. So I don't think it's a bad thing.
Well,
that
so whatever
somebody-
teacher he went with, I mean, just made him look like a robot then.
Listen,
okay, DeSantis, don't look so robotic, please. Just
I agree. But see, in the woods, like I want to see policy. At this point, like I'm over like character. Obama was the perfect politician. Like, listen, let's be real. I'm not talking about his policy, but he was a handsome guy, had the great smile, charismatic, great speaker. You know, his wife, all the stuff. Okay, 2 children. I'm just
that's
saying.
why people think that he was the Antichrist, because he was like likable and he did nothing but cause disruption throughout the world.
My point ultimately is that you can be all those things that you're saying he's not and still be a good person, right? At the end of the day. Like some people have it, some people don't. But Obama was terrible for this country, in my opinion. And he had all the attributes, which is why I think he was elected, because he came out, even I was bought in on it. Seriously. I was like, man, this guy's all about change, dude. And he's he's a great speaker. That doesn't mean anything. No. So that's where I'm at with DeSantis. I don't know if he could take out Trump. Now, if Trump gets arrested, that may start shifting things somewhat. It may bolster him in a lot of ways, and it may downgrade
Randall,
him
do you think Trump's going to get arrested?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's in order. No, I don't.
All right.
Because there's not enough on him. And I mean, there is some stuff on him. There's supposedly some stuff on him, but I don't think it's enough for them to be a full-on conviction. You're going to jail. I mean, if
even with the audio leaks,
do you think it matters though? I think that these people will find any excuse to arrest anybody.
That is true. That is true. So, I mean, would it be better for the country if he was? I said company. That's
company. Well, it's the same thing.
Funny.
It's the same thing. Right?
Exactly. Would it be better if he was? I don't know. It would give faith that supposed justice was played out, but that doesn't mean that that's justice. That
True.
It just means that it's a thing. So then they would have to go and indict every other president and person in there, and that he might be trying to be the martyr, and be like, just let me go, and then. Because, even if he got 20 years or whatever, they're going to give him 6 months at wherever and he's out.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, I don't even think he has to try to be the martyr. That's what he is.
Yeah.
He has been this whole time is like the whole, I'll take the slings and the arrows. Like, you know what I mean? That phrase where he always says like, they're not the real enemy. They're coming after you. I'm just standing in their way type of thing. Right.
Yeah.
That's like, you're a martyr at that point, or at least you're pretending to be one.
Pretending to be.
I mean, Chris, I mean, we've gone back and forth on this a few times, man, about like how much of an impact this has. And like, I don't think anybody really knows until something was to actually come around on it.
Yeah.
But my concern always will be that there are people that are like, I do like him, I just don't know about his character. Those people exist. You know what I'm saying? And like, if he was convicted, there would be some people in the middle somewhere that are saying like, man, like I can't argue because maybe they don't understand that the system's a little funky and corrupt. And I just, if he was actually sentenced, like, right, he gets 3 years, a year, 6 months. There are people that are going to be like, wow, he really was a criminal. Like there are people that would just say like, man, I guess he was like.
Yeah, but then you have to look too, like how does that look? Like you have the biggest opposition to your presidency jailed right before the election.
Like not only that, but was it by the law? Was it legal?
Yes.
Can they prove that he was arrested legally? And if he wasn't, how corrupt does that make the DOJ look? To Chris's point, it's right before an election.
Yeah.
That is
a thing. Your point on that is a thing. Like the fact that it's election year coming very quickly is a thing. Now we're a year and a half out or whatever at this point, a little less than that. But maybe it's far enough. Maybe people don't remember, I don't know.
I think it makes people more angry to vote for Trump. I think that if you arrest him, it adds to that martyrdom thing, and it gives him more revenge. It gives him that bite for revenge.
Even the people that already support him, you say they do arrest him, and like now you have half the country pissed off at you for arresting the one opponent right before the election.
Yeah, that
looks like the most dictatorship you could ever have.
What I say about 2020 though is that. It's not that I think Trump had a ton of support, but like you could argue if you didn't want to go down the realm of like just fraud, okay, you could argue that because he was so hated, that it brought people out that hated him and made them vote. Even because, so here's the deal. Say you're all right, we're all right. Like Trump gets a boost from this in some aspects. People are really angry that it's happening, and they go out and they vote. You also have to understand that the left, the people that don't vote on the left, are going to say, I have to vote because this guy's a fucking criminal. So I'm going to come out and vote because there's no way we can allow literally a person who was arrested to be president, right?
Yep.
So you get both sides.
And you go from the other way too. Like, or would they vote thinking that no, he's not going to have support because he's been arrested?
No, because I think even CNN, MSNBC, all of them are saying that Trump is dangerous, and you guys are all foolish if you think he's not, even with a conviction. I mean, they are talking about it. I've heard that said so many times. It's like, hey guys, he's not going away, and he won't go away.
But I mean, who trusts the mainstream news now?
The people that listen to it?
Yeah, we just talked about their numbers are dwindling, dude. Like compared to the conservative voice, the whatever truth voice, the Twitter. I mean, look at Tucker Carlson, bro. His first episode had what, 30-something million?
Sure.
Within a couple hours.
Yeah.
Compared to like he had like not even 3 million on Fox News.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Like,
I agree with you, man. But you take out mainstream media, that's fine. But I'm saying it's not just conservative media that's doing well. Like there are left-leaning media that's podcasting that still have great numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand the mainstream media may be dwindling, but there's still some left voices that are very, very much out there and very much like having these conversations and are telling their audience the same thing. Like Trump is dangerous to them, very, very dangerous, and that you cannot overlook the fact that he may win, and that could do something. Some people may say like, "There's no way," and they don't like. I don't know what's gonna. This is a very odd election. I don't know.
Yeah.
We've never had a president. We've never had two presidents
Under
Trump
investigation.
and Biden, both looking like however you want to take it. It looks bad on both ends. You know what I'm saying? Even if you think Trump's 100% innocent, it looks bad in the world picture. You got two presidents that are corrupt,
Yeah.
quote unquote.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully people in the world notice that Trump has been kind of thrown under the bus.
I think so.
Like throughout the last 7 years, 4 to 7 years, whatever.
Yeah, I think the whole history behind the last 5-6 years plays a huge part in this, whether his support dwindles or not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, other countries know that people here question elections.
Sure.
Right. And they even call that out, like when they're talking about like how can you be running and jail your opponent, and then they just bring up Biden. They go, well, how could Biden do what he did in the 2020 election, right? And so they actually, I think other people in other countries are well aware that we have a problem within this country when it comes to our elections.
Agree. I totally agree. I mean, they obviously aren't doing anything.
No.
Unless they're sending over ballots themselves, you never know, dude. You never know. But no, I agree with you, man. I think at the end of the day, if you look at the two, like it's very easy to say Trump is not guilty of all the things that he's saying. And I think that seems realistic. Even if you hate him, the evidence is just not there. Biden, on the other hand.
He came out today and said Putin's going to win the war in Iraq.
Iraq?
That's what he said.
Oh, no.
What?
Wrong war, Biden.
That's what he said.
Wow. Well,
He also said that he just sold all the goods.
Yeah.
And did you
I
see
sold
that?
so many
I sold
trade
so many
secrets.
secrets.
Or
Did you
state
see that? I
secrets.
sent you guys that clip, dude.
Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
They actually put it.
I mean-
they put it in the White House, like in the transcripts. It's in the fucking transcripts. That's how clear it was. It was written in
I
the
know.
White House transcripts.
And then
I don't
everyone's
know.
like, that was
And
a
see,
joke.
It's like, even if it was a joke, like, why would the media not boast about that and be like, bro, why would you
That's
joke about
something you
this?
don't joke about. Yeah, I mean,
Even-
like
yeah.
you're the president. You don't joke about selling secrets.
Well,
What the hell
you
is wrong
especially
with you?
Randall don't joke about it when they're literally talking about you selling
Yes, exactly. Like,
America.
what the
like,
hell?
and he didn't laugh.
No,
he
no.
didn't chuckle. He didn't do anything. He was stoic when he said it, which is bizarre. Because we all know he goes, "Come on,
well,
man."
because he's brain dead.
He's brain dead. He's a vegetable.
He's fucking.
What kind of vegetable is Biden if he's a vegetable? What would you call him? Is he a broccoli? Celery stick?
He's
a
an
damn-
old potato.
He's
An
a
old potato.
He's a kumquat.
Have you ever had a kumquat?
No.
Yeah, I have. It's weird. It's a weird one.
Yeah.
Try explaining that to your kids.
Yeah,
It's hard.
exactly.
It's very difficult. I know. And what time we got here?
We got a couple minutes.
Yeah, we got a couple minutes. First of all, we appreciate you being on. here, man.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah,
I'm
Randall.
blessed.
It's hard because like we don't have that many guests on the show, and so when we were talking before the show, like we were just going off, man. Like, I could have a conversation with Randall for hours. I feel like that we could have a 4-hour episode like a Rogan style thing.
Let's do it.
We should. Greg, what any last takes? I know that we didn't talk about any like new news, but is there anything that kind of struck you, modern stuff like today, yesterday? Any news that kind of hit you funny, or is it because there wasn't that much for me?
I mean, just more coming out about the audio of like what was the document. Like no one's talking about the document that supposedly Trump was showing his staffers, right? The low-level staffers that weren't supposed to see this top secret document. Because it hasn't been confirmed what the document was. The only reason we know that it's quote-unquote confidential is because Trump said it, right? And so that's the only thing that they have. There's no video of what the document is. People are speculating it could even be a fucking newspaper. You know what I mean? And he's tricking the whoever recorded this conversation. Who let this out?
Yeah.
Right? Who let out the audio? Because the DOJ is investigating Trump. They have all of this stuff locked and loaded, right? So they would have had to leak this out to CNN. And, you know, when it comes to the Biden administration and the investigation into Biden, you have like Kirby and Jean-Pierre, whatever. They're all saying, we can't discuss that because it's an ongoing investigation. However, the DOJ can leak all of this stuff out when it has to do with Trump.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Randall, what's your take on leaks in general? I feel like that's a really weird one.
It is. I mean, if it's an investigation, you don't get leaks in there. I'm sorry, you don't.
Yeah.
Somebody put that out.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Somebody put it out on purpose. It wasn't like, and sending the people home with documents and all that. It's like, keep that shit where it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, just stop.
I think it hurts the cases.
It does.
But you talk about like whistleblowers and leaks and shit. And it's like sometimes you're grateful for it. Right? And then sometimes you're like, what the fuck, man? Like, what are we doing? You know,
Well,
like, I just don't know if I like it or not.
Well, and like Greg said, like, do you have what he supposedly was holding up? Do you have those things? Otherwise, you just leaked your number one fucking piece of evidence.
Yeah, I actually like where you're going with that. It's like, it also depends on the leak. Like, how much evidence do you have? If it's a really rock solid leak, why would you not, right? If they had that smoking gun on Trump and they could leak it, why wouldn't they? You know what
because
I mean?
then they're giving way too much opportunity to someone to disprove it before they even actually get the trial.
Yeah. Which I know we talked about just the audio. Where's the video? Is there video?
There's probably not video.
And Greg, you were saying like, you know, sometimes they put out just the audio, then they'll try to catch him and then release a video saying, see, you lied. Because if he says, I actually never showed documents, and then a video comes out after he says it, having him show documents, that'd be like a gotcha, a whole gotcha moment. But,
well, and then does the Presidential Records Act fall into play here where he can basically just make anything, unclassified or declassified, right? So I don't know how that stuff works.
Well,
I don't know if that's a strong case there.
He said during a speech too, I think, I forget exactly what he said, but the law clearly states that presidents can take documentation with them, regardless of what it is.
Well, we don't even know where this was. Was this in the White House where it was recorded? You know,
it
it's
was
like,
in 2021.
Oh, so.
But what was the piece of paper? And that's the big question: is like, how do we really know it was classified, other than Trump saying it was classified?
Well, I think a lot of people would just take his word for it. Like if Trump is saying it's a classified, you have to kind of.
But they wouldn't take his word for it when he said it was declassified.
Yeah, but we do. That's what I'm saying. Like when he said it was declassified, most people that are supporting Trump would say like, "Why believe him? They're declassified, right?"
Okay.
I mean, it's the same thing. And if somebody that's opposed to it, if he says it's classified, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, it is classified. He said it himself." You know what I mean? I don't know.
I don't know what it is either.
And
I don't.
Well, I think we might have an idea about what the document might be because in that transcript of the audio, Trump did say, "Look, this is Millie. This is the military. This makes my case." It's like, this makes your case for what? Like, what case was he talking about? What was he trying to prove here?
But at the same time, we're talking about this, and they sent over more money to fucking Ukraine, dude. You know, another, $500 million just got sent. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's you have to talk about it. But at the same time, like, there are things that are going on behind the doors here that they don't want you to talk about. And it's just a juggle, you know? Because, like, it is new. Like, you're talking about a possible future president, ex-president, who could be thrown in jail. That's like news. That's in 50 years, that's going to be historic.
Yeah.
So it's hard not to discuss that. But at the meantime, like the government is just doing its thing. It's just keeping going and it's keeping the corruption going. And so I do think that there's some I don't know. I don't think they care at the end of the day. I think they want to get stuff passed and they want stuff to get under the radar. And if he gets in jail, great. If he doesn't, whatever. They don't really care. They just want to cover everything up, dude.
Yeah, to me, it's like it's about timing. Like the faster you can squash the propaganda, the more people will realize, oh, that was a lie. Because you know how the news cycle works. It's like, oh, a big story just happened. What happened? Okay, I'm taking that in. That's the truth. Oh, another story happened, blah, blah, blah. So if you can get out immediately and end the propaganda and just say like, no, this is what the actual recording was recording me. I had a newspaper. I was looking at this stack of papers that were declassified. Like, if we were just to come out and say, this is what exactly was happening, I mean, this whole story is dead, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have 4th of July coming.
Yep.
All right. We got a big holiday. We're in the midst of summer, traveling, people going to the beach, hanging out with family. This is how I'll end it for me. Randall, what do you see in the next month? What direction are we going in this next month of July, which is a heat wave, summertime? Do you see Trump being put in jail? Do you see anything changing?
I not in this next month. I think it'll take a little bit, but I think more and more is going to come out that they supposedly have, and they keep. It's like every week they release something else and something else and something instead of just dumping it and saying we have all of this, against you. So I think it's going to be a slow roll until election, and then they might indict him, but I don't see it in the next month for sure.
Greg, what do you think, man?
Yeah, I think there's a high likelihood of him being arrested. They want to keep it outside of the window of election year, quote unquote. So I think it's going to happen relatively soon, if not, I can see Randall's point. Like, I don't, if it doesn't happen, I could also see that too. But I feel like this is the last straw that they have, and they have to pull it because, I mean, how do you damage his reputation, Trump's reputation? You get him arrested. That way you can apply the label of the arrested presidential candidate, Donald Trump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Convict.
Chris, what do you think, man?
I don't think anything happens within the next month.
His
trial doesn't even start till August.
That's true. It does. But I guess I'm just saying the lead up to that. Do you see anything?
No. I think the only thing I see happening is more hearings and shit going on inside the House or the Senate. That's about the only thing I see. Because I think it was Jim Jordan just came out and he isn't opposed to actually impeaching Merrick Garland. And going after those guys for lying. So I mean, there's going to be shit with that. There's the impeachment shit with that's of Biden that's going on. I think that stuff is going to happen, and then it is going to progress in the next month. Not necessarily anything is actually going to happen, but
yeah, I think this whole thing is just to hinder Trump. They're worried about Trump. I think that you're right. A month is hard. I mean, a month is hard, but I think to Chris's point, we'll see more about Biden coming out. They're going to be more about Trump, and I do think that this is a great opportunity for an RFK to come out there and speak, and Trump is not allowed to be on the campaign trail, really. Like, he's not as much.
Well, he can. He just can't talk about what's going on.
I know, but he's also hindered a little bit by all the stuff that's happening. So, to me, there's a lot of stuff that's going on with kind of manipulating people's minds right now, and I think we're going to see more of that.
Yeah, that's a good point, Dave. I think when the bomb drops on Biden about his revelations of China deals and all that stuff,
they'll arrest Trump.
That's when they'll arrest Trump. Yes.
Yeah.
So then we won't have anything.
No, then we're looking at RFK versus DeSantis. Welcome to the new election.
Great. That sounds.
I mean, he's still going to run. I mean, listen, who knows how this all shakes out? But it is interesting, and there is a lot more. It's so hard to do in an hour, but there's so much more going on in the world. But damn, dude, Randall, it was so good to have you on, man.
Thank you all.
I'm glad to get you in one more time before we make the big move. Greg, as always, love having you on.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, Randall. Thank you, everybody out there, for sharing our content.
Cheers.
We love you.
And go check out Randall's content, man.
Keep your spirits up.
There you go.